Hi guys, I'm back. So I know I said I was get this video yesterday, but I kind of got sidetracked and busy doing other things. Like I might have mentioned that my cat had kittens, so I've been kind of busy with that. So I was going to make a list, so I'm more organized when I talk, of the mysterious deaths slash unsolved murder slash missing people or whatever that I think my family's connected to. So, starting back in 1975, there was a woman. She was 22 years old. Her name was Diane Marie Schofield. She was a masseuse at local massage parlors. I mean, you can read between the lines if you'd like, but um, you know, I'm just going to say masseuse because that's what the newspaper article said. So she was found um, hogtied, strangled with a knotted up dish rag in the back of her 1966 Rambler in a parking lot of a restaurant by the airport. Now, here's where it gets really kind of strange. So, the restaurant was Warren's Steakhouse, and it was owned by my great grandmother and her second husband, who passed away. Actually, you know what? Now that I say that, I'm going to have to back up a little bit further because I forgot two things on the list. So, if we go back all the way to 1955, all right? So 1955, my great grandfather, Herbert Sabo, complained of a headache and laid down on the couch to take a nap, and he never woke back up. He died at the age of 30 years old from what they said was a brain hemorrhage. Nowadays, they call them aneurysms or whatever. But anyway, um, making my 28-year-old great grandmother a widow with two young children. She then goes on to remarry Warren Reiner, who owned Warren Steakhouse, which is where the story starts to reconnect. But anyway, I think it was 1970. Oh, shoot. I'd have to look. I knew it at one point. I think it's 1975. Exactly 20 years later, he dies. Pretty young. I mean, I would say pretty young. So anyway, leaving my great grandmother widowed for a second time, and this time she had, another daughter. So she had three children. But I believe at that point my grandma had gotten married, so she was like raising her younger sister because my great grandma was an alcoholic, really mean drunk, I guess, from the stories. I never witnessed that of her, so I can't say specifically that I've seen that, but my mom told me stories. So, but I mean, take that for what it's worth. So, anyway, okay, so Warren Steakhouse is owned by my family, and in 1975 is when Diane Marie Schofield's body was found decomposing. Um, a parking lot attendant noticed an odor coming from the car, and my grandmother called the police. Um, at the time, excuse me, at the time, there was a 15-year-old dishwasher named Donnie Radcliffe, DR for short, who, did I say he was a dishwasher? Sorry. He was 15 years old. He worked at the restaurant as a dishwasher. Remember, I said that she was strangled with a knotted up dish rag. Now, 1975 was when Vietnam War had ended. and my mom's boyfriend, Bill, was coming back from Vietnam. And he had been over there killing, and he really enjoyed it. And his mother and stepfather actually lived in very close proximity to the airport. So he knew the area well. And so I believe, without going into so many more details, like of how I can connect everybody knowing each other. Sorry. I believe that Bill and Donnie Radcliffe, and another man who Bill implicated, because one of my aunts had started. She befriended the dead woman's sister on Facebook and started talking about the case, and she mentioned it to my mom's boyfriend, and he said, "Oh, I know who killed her. I forget what his name was, but he's dying from cancer, and he's living in Arizona." So he himself is putting himself having knowledge of the crime and one of the people that I believe did it. Now, the newspaper, sorry, I need to take a drink. The newspaper article in 1975 interviewed one of her co-workers slash friends, and um, they believed that the police wanted her to be an informant, but she didn't want to do that. She got arrested for gun charges or something. But anyway, she didn't want to do it. And the same friend told Des Moines Register that it had to have been more than one person that killed her because she was really strong and she knew karate or something. Taekwondo, karate. She knew self-defense and she was really strong. So um, that says right there was more than one person. My mom's boyfriend having knowledge of that. Him just getting back from Vietnam and being familiar with the area, and the knotted up dish towel that was used to strangle her. Donnie Ratcliffe was a dishwasher at the restaurant where her body was found in the parking lot. So 1975. So right now, that's like three um, unsolved mysterious murders or whatever. And then I will say, back to both my great grandfathers, or my great grandfather and my great step grandfather or whatever. My mom told me in 2000, I think it was like 19 or 20, she had a dream that my great grandmother told her that she killed her husbands. So I don't know whether to believe that or not, but the shoe seems to fit. So, in 19, so we're going to jump some time here, and in um, actually 1990, there's another one that I just remembered. In like 1994, no, maybe like 5. Sorry, excuse me. 1995, there was a woman that went missing from West Des Moines, I believe. I don't know her name. I only know of the story. She was um, dating a family friend named Teddy Stamatellis. And my mom told me that she believes that Teddy strangled her, and that my mom believed that there was a tunnel that ran from underneath Teddy's house in Valley Junction to, I'm not really sure where. So that was kind of a weird story that I remember hearing growing up. And then he gave my mom her car. It was like a 1990 red Ford Tempo. Just gave it to my mom. So that was weird. And then in 1996, I had a little kitten, And I went to go stay the night with my grandma, and I came home, and my kitten was missing. And my mom told me that it ran away. Um, I don't remember if I like found it in the freezer in the garage, or if she ended up, or if I just knew that the cat didn't run away. I mean, it was a teeny tiny kitten, like probably. I mean, it was really super tiny. Probably I had just gotten it. It had just been able to leave its mother, so it was probably like 8 weeks old. She told me that she stepped on it and broke its neck on accident, and that my dad had to take it outside and finish it off with a rock or something. And then in 2008, my murderous, who I believe was murderous. I mean, I don't know. I can't prove anything. Um, my murderous great grandmother, Marge, she went into the hospital for a blood clot in her leg, I want to say. Anyway, they didn't get all the blood clot apparently after she was in surgery, and it traveled to her heart, and she died in the hospital from what she was there to get removed. She was 80 years old, so I mean, like, she was old, but I mean, it's still on the list. Moving on. So then 6 months later, her daughter, my grandmother, Diane, goes into a coma. Um, they claimed that she tried to kill herself by taking a bunch of pills, but I don't believe that. I've never believed that. Um, she was in a coma for like a week or something, and then they were going to take her off of, they transfer her to hospice and starve her to death. But she went before that, thank goodness. And that was the woman that raised me. So um, that was kind of, that was like my mother dying, basically. So that was in 2009, 6 months after her mother died. So my grandma was only 59 years old when she died, 2 weeks before her 60th birthday. And then about a year and a half later is when I had my stillborn daughter. And while I was pregnant, my mom was always wanting to touch my belly. And Roy, my ex-husband, told me that because I let my mom touch my belly, that's what killed my daughter, right? Which I didn't believe it at the time, but I think that she had a lot of bad vibes now, looking back on it or whatever. Also, when instead of like at the end of my pregnancy, instead of telling me that, oh, all the women in our family had to be induced, she didn't give me that information. She was fighting with me, arguing with me to let my unborn daughters stay the night at her house. Well, my mom is a pill addict, and I'm like, listen, I can't even trust that you won't drop a Vicodin in the freaking crib. Like, I'm not, and she's going to be a newborn. She's not staying the night with you. She's going to be with her mother. So, sorry. So there was that. And now looking back on it, I think that she just wanted my daughter to like do spells on her or whatever. And then in 2011 is when my grandmother's brother died. I can't link that to like my mom or whatever because they weren't around, but a lot of deaths in such a short amount of time. So, also in 2011, Teddy Stamatellis, the one who my mom accused of murdering the unnamed woman and giving her the car, he passed away. He was old, um, but his family also owned a restaurant called Johnny's Vets Club around the 70s when my family had restaurants, so restaurant families, whatever. So anyway, then in 2012, on Christmas Day, my stepdad died after being cared for by my mother at their apartment. Um, I was going over there to help, but my mom, told me she had it under control. I still went over, and I noticed like his blood had like, or his urine had blood in it, and so I knew he was gonna go soon, but I didn't think it was gonna be like on Christmas Day, like the next day. Um, then 6 months after that, so remember, my great grandmother died, and 6 months later, my grandma died, right? Her daughter. So then in 2012, Christmas Day, my dad dies. 6 months later, my 38-year-old uncle, my mom's youngest sibling, mysteriously dies. They claim it was a suicide, but there was no note, and there's like 20,000 questionable circumstances surrounding that by itself. Um, they claimed he was paranoid schizophrenic, but people were entering his apartment. So, I mean, how paranoid schizophrenic is he if he's telling the truth, right? And look at me. They told me I was paranoid schizophrenic and hallucinating, and I wasn't. So keep that in mind. So then that happens, and um, then in 2017, my stepbrother he just vanishes to Omaha. I try to file a missing persons report because his grandfather was selling his vehicle, missing a tire in the front yard, and also selling the home that was willed to Troy and his grandfather when the grandmother passed away. Um, I thought that was very bizarre. How can you sell a home when half of the people that owns it is not there? And it was in the family forever. So I thought that was strange. So I tried to go to the Des Moines Police Department and file a missing persons report. They refused to take it. So then they recommended I call Omaha. So I called Omaha and talked to them for 5 days. I talked to a Detective Reisinger. Sorry. And finally, they decided to take it because they usually don't take missing persons reports over the phone. So I talked him into taking it. 6 months later, so it would have put it at 2018, Troy was arrested, living on the streets in Denver. So it canceled out the missing persons report. Um, but like I said yesterday briefly, Troy started saying people were following him and after him before he disappeared or before he left for Omaha. And when sorry, when I asked him who was messing with him, he told me my mom and her boyfriend. And I didn't believe him at the time. I believe him now. Okay, so then fast forward to 2018, and he is arrested, living on the streets in Denver. And so that canceled the missing persons report, but he never got in contact with me. And he was arrested because there was a warrant for his arrest here in Des Moines because he was on probation and he skipped town basically. And they never extradited him. And he hasn't been heard from or seen since. And in 2020, his grandfather died, leaving him beneficiary of his life insurance policy. Well, they tried to locate Troy and they couldn't. And since my mother was his stepmother, they sent her a letter to her boyfriend's house saying, "Do you know his whereabouts? And we're trying to get in contact with him. And if you could please give us a call." I actually have a copy of the letter. So he never claimed the life insurance policy or the life insurance money. But here's where it gets weird now. So recently, I was wondering if my mother could have gotten her hands on that life insurance money. So I looked up online and I found out that his grandfather had a nephew and he was the executor of the estate. So I looked him up online and I called him and talked to him, and he told me that Troy was in Arizona. Oh, sorry. There's so many facts to this. It's so confusing. Okay, so my mom's boyfriend had told my mom, "Don't tell Amra, but Troy's alive and well and working for O'Reilly's in guess where? Arizona." The reason why Arizona is weird is because guess who else was in Arizona? The dude who killed Diane Marie Schofield in 1975. So Bill has knowledge of two either missing person or unsolved murders, and they're both culprits are end up in Arizona. That's kind of strange. So anyway, so the nephew of Troy's grandfather told me that Troy did talk to his grandfather and he was in Arizona working for O'Reilly's, which I'm not sure I believe that, because then I asked, he said, "Well, I'm going to call the insurance company and see if they if he came and got if he claimed that money." I said, "Yeah, please do, and please call me back because I'd like to know." I never received a call back. And the letter that my mother received said if he doesn't claim it within 6 months, it will go to the state as unclaimed property. And there's this website, the Great Iowa Treasure Hunt or something, and I've already checked it. And Troy's name comes up for one thing, which is a paycheck from Home Depot under $100. So the life insurance money has not been sent there, even though it should have been if it hadn't been claimed. Now, what the uncle or the nephew mentioned to me when I was talking to him on the phone is that, he's executor of the will, so he would have the authority to do what he wants with the money if Troy doesn't claim it. So I'm thinking there might be some life insurance beneficiary fraud there, because Troy is he's just disappeared. Nobody's talked to him or seen him, and I've not been out of touch with him for we would never go like more than 2 weeks without speaking. So it's been since 2017 since I've seen him, and that's weird. So then moving on to 2020 again. So Troy's grandpa dies in 2020. Also, um, somebody that knew my ex that I caught cheating, Wayne, he has a buddy named Todd. And Todd has a buddy named Jamie Ellis, the bail bondsman. And my Aunt Stephanie happens to be in love with Jamie Ellis, and he felt sorry for her being homeless, so he let her come live with him. So Todd is partying with Wayne one night and is helping Wayne at the shop. And he's 42 years old, and they're doing crack or whatever. And all of a sudden, boom, he drops dead. Now, interestingly enough, Todd and my mother had fooled around and cheated. My mom cheated on Bill with Todd. Todd paid my mom $200 to give him a blowjob. She did it. And Bill found out about it and threatened his life. About 6 months later, he mysteriously dies at the age of 42 years old. Now, then, so Bill didn't want my mom hanging out with my Aunt Stephanie or being over at Jamie's house after that, even though Todd had died. So, um, Bill and my mom were fighting, and my mom was giving Stephanie a ride home and over to Jamie's, and he starts Bill follows my mom over there and starts trouble in Jamie's front yard. And Jamie comes out and, puts Bill in his place basically. And Bill got into his face and Jamie pushed him and knocked him down. And Bill threatened Jamie's life uh, by saying something along the lines of, "Oh, he doesn't know who he's fucking with. I can make a call right now and have his drugs tampered with. The next time he gets high will be the last time." Interestingly enough, 2021, about a year after that comment was made, Jamie and my Aunt Stephanie are partying and they're doing some heroin, and Jamie drops dead. Now, before calling the police, my aunt cleans out his wallet and does whatever else she's going to do. And then, you know, the drug dealer got pinned for that. But I think it's very ironic that the threat was made, and then that's how he died. And my Aunt Stephanie is uh, there. Now, 2022, my family has tried to poison me, tried to hire hitmen to come after me, and then they tried to get me to kill myself for life insurance money. So I'm thinking that they seemed pretty confident for me to kill myself to get this life insurance money. I'm thinking that they probably have done that before, and I'm thinking that they did that with my uncle. Um, because he apparently killed himself with no note and a bunch of weird circumstances, right? So I'm thinking I come from a long line of serial murderers. I'm not proud of this. I think it's disgusting, and I'm trying to stop it and get to the bottom of all these unsolved, weird, wacky um, murder slash questionable deaths that don't add up. So stay tuned for more on this gruesome, murderous plot to be continued. Thanks. Peace.